Hey, welcome to Dream Aloud with Kendra. It's a podcast for Black women who want to live limitless lives. Be inspired by others who have dared to step outside of their comfort zone to live their hopes and dreams and passions. Now let's get started because life is way too short not to live the way that you want.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us. Well, me again for my second act series of phenomenal women who dare to follow their dreams and their passions, to walk in their purpose. And this second act pivot series was supposed to be just 2 months, but it's just so good because we have so many phenomenal women who are doing some awesome things. And so I want to introduce today a lady that I met about 3 or 4 years ago, 2017.
Yes, 2017. Yep.
2017. So I was invited to her radio show, Millennial High.
Yeah.
And your radio show is about motivation, inspiration, and deep
conversation.
And so when I was invited to her show, I was so nervous. I was like, oh no, I can't believe that I said yes to that. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to be on the radio, but my sensei, I think he's your sensei too, Anthony Lower. He put it on his Facebook page. And so there was a lot of people that knew that that was happening. But after I got into the studio, she made me feel so welcome. And I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was talking about. So it turned out so well. I was like, this was awesome. So this is the kind of coaching I have to do for other people when they come on to my live stream for my podcast. But I'm so glad that you invited me. And so I've been watching you and the things that you're doing now. And so you're still doing the radio show, but now you are a first-time filmmaker.
Yeah.
So, I didn't introduce you because I got so excited. So everyone, I want you to meet Miss Tia Whitfield. She is a phenomenal woman who is actually going after all of her dreams and making the changes necessary to do that. So welcome to Dream Aloud with Kendra. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for saying all those things. And can I tell you, one, I didn't know that you were nervous on the show when you were there. Two, you were really great. And it was just fun talking to you. And I just love, like, you're so personable. And I feel like even now with the show that you're doing, one, I didn't know it was only a 2-month thing. Why just 2 months? Keep it going every month.
Well, it's going. It was going. I was just supposed to be, just showing people a few ladies to give them inspiration to follow their dreams.
Yeah.
And there's so many. And I have to have Tia on here.
Yeah. It's and you know what too, like for me, and I think that's a part of my story, is just that sometimes I know like inspiration comes from within, like you yourself have to be inspired, right? Yes. But sometimes like that occurs when you're watching other people and you're seeing what they're doing. You're like, you know what, I can do that too.
Yes.
I can do that. So yeah,
so you're talking about your story. Tell us your story. How did you start in radio?
Oh my, I didn't even think I was going to be in radio. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, it's actually something that just kind of happened, I guess, but I welcomed it as well. So I know that I wanted to just talk to people. I wanted to interview them. And I was thinking that it would be like a little, TV show. Maybe I'll have like a YouTube channel, which I did. I started a YouTube channel called Daily Dose with my friend Marcel. And that was fun, but I wanted more. So I normally would not act or make any moves without like someone like backing me up or someone coming along with me. And then I realized like I'm not going anywhere doing that. I know we were saying before the call, like, don't wait for your friends to go on vacation, just go on vacation. And I feel like it's like, don't wait for anyone to co-sign what you feel in your heart is the right thing to do, because you will stay stagnant. And that's how I felt, because I'm like, I know I want to do these things. So I was waiting for one of my friends to kind of like join in with me, but I'm like, no, I'm just going to do it myself. And then I didn't even tell anyone I was doing it. So one day, like when I'm a night owl. So it was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning or something. I'm like online, like it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I come across this site, and it was called Philly Cam. And it is a like community television station. That's what it was. It was in Philadelphia, a television station in Philadelphia. And so I'm like, I'm going to join Philly Cam, and I'm just going to see what happens. And so there were classes that you could take, but then I received an email saying like, hey, we might get approved for this radio station. And, if anyone wants to, maybe host or have an idea for a show, you're going to have to pass this type of test. And the test was you had to kind of like write why you wanted a show, what type of show it would be, and then you would have to take this class. So I kind of went in that way. So they had like all these applicants, and they chose me as one. I was so happy. And I was just like, I didn't tell anyone I was doing all of this, right? So, and then it was such a great experience. Like I was like, you were nervous coming into the radio station that day. I was nervous going into that first class, because I'm like, there's no one I know around me. And although like I do love talking to people, I still get nervous, when you don't know anyone, I kind of get nervous still, right? But that was a great experience. So we had to pitch 3 stories. And one of the stories was about, why I decided to kind of like make the move, as like a young mother. I felt like I could not do anything but just have my job that paid my bills and that provided healthcare for myself and my daughter. But I wanted more than just that. Like I was so, I felt like that's all I could do. So, Yahweh Shaw, she was kind of like helping us, with our stories. And she's just really awesome. But she basically suggested, she's like, Tia, I love your other stories about Philadelphia nightlife, but I like the story about you. And so when I did my first radio documentary, it was called, Suki. Self-Help Junkie. So it's called Self-Help Junkie. And because that's what I was doing. I was just involved in just like reading books and trying to improve myself and trying to gain the courage to do something more with my life than just, be satisfied with like my 9 to 5. And so I kind of did my first radio documentary on that. And from that, I realized, I'm like, wow, there's a platform out here. There's a story out here for people, women just like me, who feel like they can't, or they need that extra nudge to just get out there. So that's how like Millennial High came about. And then so once we were approved for the radio station, so it was on 106.5 FM. Once that was approved and my show was approved by the board, that's how I had my radio show, Millennial High. And I wanted it to be kind of like a platform for people like you. That's why, you came on the show, who want to inspire and motivate people to be, to live their, dreams, instead of chasing them, just live your dreams.
Them.
Yeah. So that's me.
Out loud and in color, live them out loud and in color.
Exactly.
And it's okay if you're afraid. Or if you're nervous, like you said, I was nervous and I said, I'm coming anyway. I'm just going to go anyway. I'm going anyway. But I was just like shaking inside. But once we started talking, it was all me anyway.
Yeah.
It was what I do. I was born to inspire. I was born to tell stories. So, but just getting there was an issue. So there's a lot of people who may count themselves out. Because they won't go. because they're afraid. Like you said, you were nervous when you went into the class.
Yep.
There's some people would say, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to class. Hello, it's class.
It's class. You don't know. No one knows.
Learn.
That's why.
And you will not know unless you go to
exactly.
Learn.
And that's such a great point. Such a great point. Because that is what I would do, is like we talk ourselves out of something before we even try it. But my whole thing is like, and now like what I do is just like, you know what, just do it. Because everything I'm making up in my mind is worse than what could actually happen, right? So like every time I try to talk myself out of something, and then I think of all these scenarios, I'm like, what if I walk into this class and people just hate me automatically, and then I get caught up to the front and I'm embarrassed because I don't know what this means or that means, and it's so bad, right, in your own mind, and then you get into the situation and no one cares.
No one cares.
No one
working
cares.
on their own stuff.
They're like, oh, what's your name? Hey, you know, what's up? You know, that's just it. And it's like all these stories I make up in my own mind to keep me in the same place is ridiculous. You just don't listen to them.
Yeah. So I have 5 keys to following your dreams, and we'll talk about that later, but one of them is don't listen to the chatter. Don't let the chatter stop. The chatter is going to come, but you don't have to listen to it. And I'm a reader and a self-helper as well. And so I was reading a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Oh, Elizabeth Gilbert. Wait, Elizabeth Gilbert.
The Eat, Pray, Love lady.
Yeah.
So she has a book called Big Magic. And she says that, you know, fear goes along with you no matter where you go. So you have your ambition and your dreams, and you have fear. If you already acknowledge that fear is going to come along with you, it's okay, but you need to set the rules. Fear can travel with you, but it has to sit in the back. Can't sit in the front. He cannot drive. He cannot touch your radio. So everything that you're listening to has nothing to do with fear. You sit him in the back and say, shut up. You're coming along for the ride. But that's it. And so that's why this is what this show is all about, to just show people that you can do more than one thing.
Yeah.
Because you're good at more than one thing.
Yep.
You've been given a plethora of talents, and you need to just step out and use them. So you're a software developer by day. You're a radio personality.
Host. And I actually, so what I did, so you know, I still wanted to have like the TV show, right? So I would say 2 years into the radio show, I'm like, you know what? Let's do like a Millennial High Live. Okay. So I have one of my friends, Marcus, and he came and he kind of like directed the show, and then he would be in the studio. I don't know if the cameras were there. No, it was after, because I didn't have Millennial High Live when you were there. Yeah. So then they would bring the cameras in, and we would do like a live show, kind of like a like, you know how like Howard Stern, I don't know, I've never really watched him, but I was seeing it. But, you know, he would have the cameras in and they're just talking, and it's still a radio show. So that's what I did too. And that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. I realized about myself. It's just that I just love creating like kind of like experiences for people. And I like, just like you, storytelling. I love stories. I love hearing more than my own stories. I love hearing other people's stories the most. And like, I love details. Like, I want all the juicy details, and not because I'm trying to be nosy, but because I like being able to picture it in my mind and kind of like feel what you felt like I was there. You know, we have this one life to live. I can't do everything. You can't do everything. But the more you talk to people, the more you realize like, wow, that's a great experience. And you kind of felt like you were a part of it, you know, even though you weren't there. So, and you can try a lot of things. That doesn't mean you have to continue to do them. So you mentioned your daughter. Oh, my snuggle. So she's gonna be so mad. No, she's gonna be so. She's not a snuggle anymore. She's okay. So when I first started radio, it was so. I mean, I don't even know how old she was. I think she was like, I don't know. I have no idea. But the other day, I was like, Adia, you're 13. She's like, Mom, I'm 15. I was like, oh. I was like, that's right.
So
like,
she was at the studio when I was leaving.
Day, yep.
So what has she learned by watching you? What are you showing her?
So that was one of my big things, right? I felt like I could not do what I loved, which was interview people, go to events and interview people, things like that, because I had a child and I needed to be there for her. And I didn't want to put her off on other people and have other people watch her every time I have an event, like right after work, or because she's my responsibility, right? So that part. So, and part of the documentary that I did was I talked to one of my friend's mom, actually. Her name is Pat Kerswanis, and I spoke with her and I kind of interviewed her, and she really encouraged me because she has a dance studio, and she did that all while she was a choreographer. She has a dance studio all while having like 2 little kids. And that was like, well, now age is my age, but whatever, you know what I mean? But I mean, so she really encouraged me. She's like, Tia, I used to bring my kids with me. She's just like, bring her with you. Yes. And she will learn and she'll meet people and she'll see you like in your best self. So that's what I did. So that's why she was at the studio that day when you were there, because I'm like, little girl, let's go. Yeah. So I think now I just love seeing her kind of blossom, because before she was really shy, and she kind of still is shy, but I see her coming out of her shell. I see her paying attention to a lot of the things that I do, and like now like doing things that she would have not necessarily have done before.
And it just seems natural for her now because she saw someone else do it.
That's another thing too. And that's what I love. Like, I love her actually hearing the stories of the people who come into the studio. Like, she needs to see like people, especially like you and I, like, you know, Black women who, you know, have our careers together, but we're still pursuing what we love to do.
There's still more.
There's still more out there than what you've been surrounded with. Like, there is an entire world that
I refuse to be a part of the shoulda, coulda, woulda club. I could have been this. I should have done this. Or I should have tried that. Just do it. If it doesn't work, like they say, what is the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? You move on.
You move on. You just pick yourself up. Let me tell you something. I've done things that did not work. Like, okay, so I don't know if this is too soon, but I interviewed Shamika Sawyer.
Okay.
Like maybe like 2 or so years ago. And she has a program called 5 Shorts, where she takes like anyone, you don't need any film experience. And she teaches you from the beginning, like the creation of like the script to post-production. So all pre-production, production, and post-production. And it was such a great experience. She's like, Tia, she's like, you know what? Did you ever want to become a filmmaker? I'm like, no. I was like, no. And I said no, not because I didn't want to, because of course I would want to, but because I was afraid to do it. I was afraid to have my idea, this one little idea that I had in my head, to actually like write a script and then actually have people act it out and then see it on the screen. So it's just like other people have to believe in it. Like this radio show it's my show, right? So like it really only takes me to do it. So, and that's not true. It takes a village, right?
Yes.
But it was just the thing is just like, so I'm hosting it. So for you, how many people did you have to consult today for this? Not that many, right? So it's different. But for film, there are so many people, and you're building a team of people who are looking at you for your vision, and it's intimidating, but it's great. It's like so great. And I would suggest, like, if you have an idea, and it's a short film, right? So I don't do anything short. So technically it was supposed to be under 10 minutes and it ended up being 18 minutes. And even then I had to cut out stuff, right? But I'm not saying I failed in that. Like, I loved it, but could I have executed it better? Absolutely. Like, after the project was done, and I see, and I had Anthony was in it.
Okay.
I had like some other coworkers in it, and my sister was in it, and then we casted parts too, like people that I didn't know were in it, and it was just so awesome to see it like on screen. But like the one big like takeaway from that is just that when you believe like in your vision, other people start to believe in it too, and it's a
Yes.
cool thing to see. It's such a
If
cool thing.
if you don't believe in it, then no one else will have the opportunity to believe in it. And
Yeah,
if you don't get started, you can't get better.
so true. That 100%. Yes. If
That
you don't get started,
perfection,
you cannot get better.
that perfection paralysis will keep people from doing anything. But if you
Mm-hmm.
get started, that gives you the opportunity to improve upon what you did the first time. So
And
who cares
sometimes,
if it's not good? But most of the
mm-hmm.
time it turns out pretty good
Yeah,
and
I
you
was
just
so
get
proud of it.
better.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to like say something to your point is that sometimes perfection is like really just like fear masquerading as perfection, or
Mhm.
procrastination masquerading as perfection. Because honestly, if you really drill down to why you aren't making the move, it's because you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong, like you said earlier. So
Mhm.
we say, oh, it's like perfection, I'm just a perfectionist. That no, let's keep drilling down as to the true reason why you're not making the move. So,
And it's usually fear.
and it's
And we need to know that everybody has fear.
it's okay. That's what
And
it
it's
is. That's what life
okay.
is. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, because, and I tell my daughter this all the time, I'm like, you're never going to know how to do everything. So you have to learn it.
Mhm.
Right. Like, so like if there's, oh, well, I don't know how to do that. Okay. Well, I didn't know how to do it. I had to learn, like you just have to put yourself out there and you have to learn. I
I'm
think now
looking at some of the comments. So Aja says,
oh,
when you're talking about your daughter, she says 15. She just
oh
bought us
God,
with
I
her.
know. Well,
And
she
then,
taught. Well, actually, Asia, she's one of my friends. She was her. She. So my daughter went to their dance school, and so Asia was. She's a choreographer, so she was.
so
Yeah,
is
when she was
Asia
little.
the dance teacher's daughter?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, she says she just bought us with her.
Yeah. She.
And that's what you do. Like I started working. I've always been in tech. You're in tech too. So,
Mm-hmm.
and so people think you're just a techie and that's it. But I'm also an artsy kind of person as
Yeah.
well. But um, I took my job in higher ed because I was a single mom too. So, what better way to work in higher ed? I wanted a master's degree that I didn't have to pay a student loan for. And I was supposed to go there just to get my master's degree and never come back again. And
Mm.
I ended up I've ended up working there for like 19 years. Brought my son along. He got a degree there for
Right.
free.
Yeah.
So when he started coming there, he was little, but he liked trains. So I would bring him during skeleton crew and we'd ride the
That's
subway.
so
He
great.
thought
Yep.
that was the best thing. So he knew everybody on the floor. He couldn't learn technology from me, but he learned from other people
I love
because
it.
he wouldn't let me teach him. So I'm always looking for the possibilities. And so when
Mm-hmm.
you started talking about your daughter and bringing her everywhere, when you expose your children to a life like that,
Mm-hmm.
then they have less fear and they have
Mm-hmm.
less obstacles to overcome just by you living your life
Yep.
and doing it on your own terms.
Because they see that it's possible,
Yes.
right? And trust me,
Possibilities.
she like okay, you see how I am during this call, right? So she gets it like 10 times worse, and like my excitability and like my like flamboyance in my hands.
Hmm.
So she like I love her so much. I mean,
Uh-huh.
she knows me like the best probably of like anyone, so she knows how I am, and I just love seeing like little tiny bits of my, myself
Nuances
in her,
in her.
but she takes it and she does it 10 times better than me. But I just love like seeing like, oh, I wonder if that was because of me,
I love quotes and quotes and questions that make you say or feel a little better or challenge you. And so there's a quote that says, what one generation allows, the next generation will take to the extreme.
Yes.
It was in a negative connotation, but it also works in the positive.
Yes, it
And as I'm
does.
looking here, I see Kim Johnson Milton said, just do it. We were talking about, don't worry about fear, just do it.
Just do it.
Joyce gave us the fire sign. And Talia has a question for you. She says,
Sure.
where is your favorite resource to start? The library, Google, friends, etc. I think when we were talking about, I said, just get started.
Oh, okay. So what I would do is that, okay, what is it that you want to do? And then you would say, okay, let's just say that, okay, I want to become a filmmaker. I personally, if I don't know anyone who's a filmmaker, I would probably Google it. I would probably say, and I would stick with like local. I would say, first time filmmakers in Philadelphia projects or like something like that. And then it takes a lot, but like you just reach out to people. And I know like sometimes people like, for even to get guests from my show when it first started, I would like slide in people's DMs all the time. Like, hey, I really like what you're doing. Can you tell me a little bit more about A, B, and C? I just think that's how I get started. So for instance, when I got started and I wanted to be a host, I wanted to be a TV host, but I ended up being in radio first and then doing that. But I went on Google and I said, what did I put in for Philly Camp? Because I didn't even know it existed. I didn't. So I was on Google, like I said, like late at night. And I was just kind of figuring out what are some keywords that I can look up and like, but locally though, because I actually now because of the pandemic, I don't know, but like I actually like going into places, but I know there's like a lot of virtual classes online for things that you would want to do, or even like podcasting 101, two of you like Ayurveda 101, and you can just do that online. I mean, there is so much knowledge out there if you just Google it, but I would keep it local to where you are. And then I would try to maybe use a hashtag and go to Instagram, just social media, figure out whatever the popular hashtag is, and then look to see, oh, okay, this person looks cool, personable. Can I reach out to them? Yeah, that's how I would get started.
So what's the name of your film and how can we watch it?
So I was thinking about that last night. It is on YouTube under 5 shorts, but I did an editor's cut that I like. Okay. So that is going to be, I'll put that on my website today. Actually, my film is called Ether. And it's called Ether. And it's for like the meaning of ether. There's a few meanings, right? So this meaning of ether is the invisible substance or the celestial, goodness, that connects all things, right? So it's just about a woman who falls in love. It's how my mind works, Kendra, okay? But it's about a woman who falls in love with a dead musician. But it's definitely like, it makes you think. It's not linear at all. But I will definitely have it up on my website tonight to share it. But if you go to 5 Shorts project and type in 5 Shorts Ether, it'll come up. But my favorite version, it will be on my website, which is imtsw.com, and I'll put it up there.
imtsw.com. My cousin usually types everything in with me, but she's on another project today, so we'll just type it in later. So I ask a couple questions of every guest, and so my first is, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. So I have a lot of quotes that I really, really like. But I was thinking about, what we've been saying today about fear, and just like tackling it or putting it in the back seat, putting in the baby seat. But
And don't touch anything.
I know, give it a sippy cup. Like, stop. Give fear a sippy cup. No, so there's this, okay, so a few years ago, I would follow this girl on Instagram, and she only went by the initials AB. And she's a writer, and she would have these writing workshops. And one day she posted something that really like struck a chord with me. So I want to share it. I wrote it down. Because I don't want to mess it up. So it is, your smaller self is never ready to be more. Your higher self is already more. Your fear is the only bridge between the two. Cross it. And
wow,
that I love.
Is awesome.
Yeah, I love. And she only goes by AB. That's all she goes by, is her initials AB. I don't know even what her real name is. And she hardly posts anymore.
Choose this day if you're gonna be your smaller self or you're gonna walk in your bigger self.
And it's also, and also too, it's like, it's the ready to be more, because you know how we always say, like we were saying earlier, oh, I'm not ready. I need, more degrees, or I'm not ready. I need more experience, but like, no. Like, your smaller self is saying those things, but your higher self is already where you want to be. And it's the fear that you need to cross to get to exactly where you need to be. So that's another reason why I love that. And like, I have to remind myself of that, because it's an ongoing process. It's not like automatically you're settling perfect and you can you're fearless. No.
Like, so Sean wants you to say that again for the people in the back, and
for the people in the back. So, your smaller self is never ready to be more. Your higher self is already more. Your fear is the only bridge between the two. Cross it.
Ooh, I'm loving that.
Cross it. We'll cross it together, hand in hand.
Yeah. Close your eyes. Do what you need to do. But once you get to the other side, you're like, what was I waiting for?
What? Yes, it wasn't that's so bad. True. That's so true. It's like, I could have been doing this the whole time. This is nothing. Like, what? I was afraid of this. But like we were saying earlier, just like, all those things are made up in your own mind. Like, they're not even real. Like, it's not even real. This is just like the I guess the not just the fear, but it's just like, you become like anxious, a little bit, especially when you're not making the move. I feel like that manifests as like anxiety, because like, you're supposed to be doing something. It's like, and you're not doing it. And then like, you're using now that anxiety as like a crutch, right? Like, well, no. And then you start, you know what I want to bring up? There is this TED Talk that I used to watch like years ago. It's so old, but it's called Why You Will Fail to Have a Great Career. That's what it's called. And of course, someone like me, I would click on it, because I'm like, oh, tell me why I'm going to fail, because I'm going to be validated in all the reasons why I'm not making the move to this TED Talk. And it was completely the opposite. But he was just saying like, we tend to use like relationships. And that's what I was doing with my daughter, using relationships as an excuse not to progress in life. And then, but the way he put it made me realize like, oh, this is what I'm doing. But he's just like, you're using your child as a shield.
Yep.
Like as a shield, not to face the real world, not to face your fears, so I was using her as an excuse not to grow as a person. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then, so he was just saying like, what happens if your child comes up to you and says, oh, mommy, daddy, I want to be, like a magician. And are you going to say, no, you're not going to be a musician. That's not going to make any money. And that's not going to do this. That's not going to do that. Or are you going to tell your kid, you know what, go for it, because that's what I did. Like, who do you want to be? And that moment, like I that TED Talk, and the guy, he's so quirky. Like I really loved it. But I don't even know when it was. Maybe like 2012, 2013. Like I feel like it was like
Yeah.
really, really old. But that
Things
always
stick.
stuck with me.
There
It's
are
just
things that will stick with you.
mm-hmm.
If they resonate with you, it's
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
And so
totally.
he was made to say that. I'm going to look that up too. So
Yeah,
CJ
yeah, it's good.
Russell,
Oh,
put your link in. So when I
oh,
ask how can we find you, thank
thanks.
you, CJ. So now everybody can see your link for your website, so they can follow you, take a look at your film. She said you're welcome. She said
Thank
that to
you.
Sean, but I thank you too. We thank you for filling in for my cousin. That's great. So what's next for you?
So, I teamed up with Shamika Sawyer, who is just dynamic. She's the person who runs Five Shorts, and I think that she has over like 100 films under her belt right now. Yeah, myself, Shamika, and our friend Lauren Pert. He's a DJ, and he also has a show called Mags FM, like he's more like music you haven't heard before, right?
Okay.
That's like his like, niche. So we are teaming up and we are coming together and we have a show called 1 in 10 now. So I think we're on our third or fourth show. Is very new. We just have our Facebook page. I think created it like the other day. It's called 1 in 10 Talks. And basically what it is it's one topic, 10 minutes to answer. And then anyone can join the conversation. It's just a Zoom. Anyone can join the conversation. And we have like 3 topics. And it's fun. I have a timer in the back. I have a countdown. My my little box turns into a countdown. And I ask a question and like people just share their thoughts. And it's actually a lot of fun. Topics from like the Meghan Markle controversy to Black Lives Matter. We talk about everything. And there's also always a relationship question there because I love relationship questions. So yeah, that's what's next. And we're kind of like zhuzhing that up a little bit. So I definitely want to put that out there. 1 in 10 Talks.
So will we be able to get to that from your
Facebook? Yeah, so Facebook, well, it's honestly literally new. Like there's no followers right now. We haven't even shared it out because exclusive. We haven't even shared it out because we didn't finish setting up the page yet. But yeah, 1 in 10 Talks. You guys can check it out. There's some
we'll
videos.
Be looking for that too.
Yeah, and so it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Apparently, Sean has already gone to your website. She said, "Great website."
Oh, thanks. It's very focused on the show, the radio show, but now I'm kind of like transitioning into like, my body of work instead of just like the radio show, but like the films I'm doing, the 1 in 10, I like writing like little blogs, so it's gonna be this whole thing. Thank you.
So it's like you are my ideal example of what I'm trying to get people to see. All of the possibilities. The possibilities are out there. All you have to do is try them. You don't have to stick with it. Just try it. If you love it, continue. If you don't, move on.
Yeah.
But life should be a true adventure. It shouldn't be mundane every day, all day, the same thing. You have no aspirations, you have no goals, and just let life take you. You should be driving.
Yes.
So that's all I want. I want people to get the most out of life. And we talked about, hiding behind your children. Your children are going to be grown. And then what?
Nothing. And then nothing, because then now you'll be sitting around looking. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an empty nester. And what am I going to do with my life?
Please don't wait till you're retired.
Right.
Live now. Some people don't make it to retirement.
That's so true.
My one thing is, there's a book That's called You're Living Your Gifts and Your Talents, and it's by Miles Monroe. He is
Mhm.
since deceased. However, he talks about the wealthiest place on the planet are the cemeteries, because
Mhm.
that's where people did not, they took all of their gifts and talents. They didn't dispense them while they had the time. There's a million
Mhm.
books that have not been written in the cemetery. There's film. There's
Mhm.
lots of things that should have been done, and they took it to the grave. And so he encouraged everybody to die empty.
Mm.
So my goal, I read that book maybe 20, 25 years ago, and
Mm.
I still, it hits me just like that TED talk that you talked about,
Yeah.
hits me all the time. Are you using all your gifts and talents?
Mm.
And you know when you're using your gifts and talents because you feel like you're floating. I feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I was born to do this. It's a different feeling than when
Mhm.
you're just doing something because you're good at it. But when you're doing what you were made to do, which is more
Mhm.
than one thing,
Mhm.
you can
Yep.
feel it. Like, I need to do more of this. I need
Yep.
to do more of this. I want people to get to that point.
Yep.
And there's only one you. No one else can be Tia but you. And the things
That's
that you
true.
do, that's right. The things that you do, the world needs it. The world
Yeah.
needs it. And that's for
Yeah.
everyone else too. So
Mhm.
I
Yep.
keep bringing these people on, like, show us who you are. You're already doing it, and it's an example for everyone else. And I'm just so happy to have been
Yeah. Thank
introduced to
you.
you. Thank you, Anthony.
I know. Thank you, Anthony.
He's
I'm
my
not sure if he's watching or
sensei.
not,
I don't
or
I don't see him on, but we'll let him
yeah,
know
but
later
he'll
on.
will on the
He's
replay, I'm
so
sure.
busy.
I
He's so
know.
busy.
It's so much happening and so much going on. But I do want to say this to everyone watching that I might not know personally and like on the replay. It's just that when I used to watch videos like this one, where people are like saying like all the things that they have been doing and like how they're, just facing their fear. And you're like, oh, that's not me. I can't do that. But like honestly, you really can, because I used to watch like, and like Kendra and I, we were saying like, I was a self-help junkie. Well,
Mhm.
I would go to Barnes and Nobles and just read about people doing great things and like the power of your thoughts and self-talk and da 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 da, and like, but never doing anything about it. But you have the easiest thing to get started. The easiest thing to do is just decide that you're going to do it. To be honest, like in
Yep.
your mind, I'm going to do it. I'm going to improve. Write down the one thing, and like another thing that helps me is like going like, it seems like so big and like all encompassing when you
Mhm.
think about like where you want to be. But if you just write down the steps to get there, or
Mhm.
the first step is to do research,
Yep.
cross that off your list. Second step, the people that I found through research, should I email them or DM them? Cross that off your list. What am I going to, like, honestly, literally break it down if
Mhm.
it seems too overwhelming. But you can do it.
So Sean says, "Is there hope for this woman at 60?" And then someone else, Joyce, says she's 70. If you have breath in your body,
Yes.
it is time for you to do what you're supposed to do. There's still time.
There's
Just
still
keep
time.
it moving. Moses didn't start till 80. He
Mm,
was 80 when he started his ministry. So
mm,
let's just go for it. As long as there's breath in your body,
yep.
you need to go after your dreams and
Yeah.
follow them. And so that leads to, this is about you, but I am going to say, get yourself a coach. I am a coach. I have a coach. I've been coaching, so the whole thing is, what is your big picture?
Mhm.
What we do in coaching sessions is I check out your big picture. I help you to develop a big picture if you don't have one about the dreams that you have in your life. Then we break it down, like you said, into bite-sized pieces
Yeah. Little
so that
bite-sized
you can
pieces.
accomplish your dreams. And you prioritize what it is you want to do first. And then we actually have an accountability group where people get together and say, in the next 90 days, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. My knees are shaking and I'm very afraid. But there's lots of people in this group who are doing the same thing. So we encourage one another. And so you can get the help that you need. So I'll be sharing more about the accountability group. And of course, you can go to my website and look for the coaching. But get yourself a coach, get yourself in a circle of people who are doing
Yes.
those things. And so, like you said, you have friends. You have people who are helping you. You're 1 in 10. It's not just you. There are other people.
There are
Because
other people.
life is so much better when you do it with other people.
I know, so true.
No
No,
man's
it's
an
so true.
island.
Honestly, it's like, and you have to know who to tell to, right? You have to know who to share your hopes and
Yes.
your dreams with, because not everyone is going to be like,
Yes.
oh, you just live in the clouds, I'm practical. Like, I don't want to hear practicality.
Stay
right
away
now.
from
All
those
right.
people.
I want to, and I don't know if you've ever come across Bob Proctor. Have you ever come across any of his work at all?
I don't know.
So basically, he talks about just like there's so many faculties that we use, human faculties that we don't use. So like beyond like the sight, touch, hearing, those faculties, we have the power of imagination, intuition, and so like one thing is like imagination is important. It is important because that helps you like be in the feeling place of where you want to be. And like, honestly, if you don't believe it yourself, like Kendra was saying earlier, if you don't believe it yourself, how is it going to manifest? How are you going to even like, make the first move if you don't believe it yourself? So to me, what helps me is imagining like being on a yacht, you know what I mean? Like no, I'm serious. Or imagining my life the way I want it to be. Because you can either do this with your mind. You can either think about all the negative things that are happening and be, so consumed with the news and all of these negativities, or you can just imagine your life and just go into that feeling place and just start feeling things like lining up. Like, I'm not saying I'm
people are still living. People are still living. And that every time you wake up and you're healthy, live. Someone would love to live. So it does start with imagination, and you were given that for a purpose. So you have the yacht dream. You have all of that. And I'll tell people, when I was little, I used to lay in my bed and think about the big house. And literally, I was like designing the floors and the ceiling and what everything looked like and the furniture in it. And I've done all of that. And now I realize that I can be a minimalist and I don't need all of that. However, I like to travel in style. Everything I like it to be 5-star or higher. And everybody's like, do you really need this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I was cheap. I used to fly on a buddy pass because my aunt worked for an airline. And she said, did you spend the $30 to go first class? And I was cheap. I'm like, no. Who needs first class? So here I was. I could have been experiencing first class
for $30.
Yeah, for $30 in my 20s. Instead, I sat in the back because I wanted to keep my $30. And now it is, for me, I can live a regular life, a minimalist life, but when I'm on vacation, I want to feel like the queen that I am. I want to go first class. I want everything to be like I'm really doing this experience thing, and I want to be in a place where money is no object. So what do you have to do for that? You need to just figure some things out. You need to be creative. As a single mom, not getting any child support, really. I always took a job to get what I wanted. I work at the children's place. And so my son and my little cousin were wearing designer clothes because I could get it for 50% off and a discount. I worked at the eye. I worked for an eye doctor so I could get free contacts and glasses and exams. And I went to Temple, not for a free degree for myself, but my son has a free degree
for your
too.
son.
So it's always about what can I get out of this? And all the experience, everything that you try, the experience is transferable. Everything that I've learned is transferable.
Yep, that's so true. 100%.
So I'm sure there'll be times when there'll be something else that you want to do. You'll be afraid, but you know to do it anyway, because when you get to the other side, you're like, oh,
Yes.
it
But
wasn't as
that's what
bad
I'm
as I
saying.
thought.
It never stops, because once you get there, you're like, oh, I could do something else. And then you get that feeling again. And then you're like, oh, this is where I should go next. And
Yeah.
it's just like, you know what I mean? It's definitely a journey. It's
Yeah.
not just like one and done.
Yes.
It's definitely a journey. Because even now you have people who are like hugely successful musicians and they go into acting.
Mhm.
Or they go into directing, or they want to start their own. I love Lenny Kravitz.
Me too.
Girl, yes. So
Is he not the youngest looking?
he's just
Oh goodness.
I'm sorry, I had to bring him up somehow in this whole conversation. So we can tag him. We can tag Lenny Kravitz in this.
Hey,
But no,
Len.
so and he's this wildly successful musician, but he got into acting, and then he wrote a book, which is really great. And then not only that, but now he has like a furniture company. Like it's kind of like it never stops. Like you just can continue to create. I feel like that's why we're here. It's just continuously create.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Get busy living, because we're all dying. So get busy living. You only
True.
have a finite amount of time, and life is short no matter how long you live. So just try it.
Me and my sister were just talking about that. I'm like, wow, like we really only have like just like you said, this small amount of time to be here, you know, like make it work, make it like,
because I don't want to get to the other side and find out all of the stuff that I could have had.
And those like little thoughts too
would have stepped out.
And I want to say this too, because I know some people, like I know really quick though, like for people with like ailments and things, like, and they're like, why I can't do this because I'm sickly or whatever. And I mean there's a lot of things that you can still do and experience that you can have like with social media these days, or online these days, to be honest with you. But like you can really like start your own like what any YouTube blog about, you can honestly, these days it can be about anything. You can honestly have your own YouTube channel about all the things that you wish you would have done. Like, you know, I mean, and then you know how good you'll feel, and then you start creating that, and then you'll start getting like fans say, you know what, oh my gosh, well, let me share my experience with you, and then maybe I can, send you this, or here's this website to experience this. I don't know. I feel like I think about that only because I know that when I was in a car accident a couple years ago, and oh my God, my foot was messed up, like my everything. I felt like I'm never gonna wear heels again. Like, oh my God, who am I without heels? But I like when I would wake up in pain, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember a time when I wasn't in pain. Why didn't I do the things that I wanted to do? You know what I mean? So now I'm kind of like, and it took maybe like a year for like my back to feel better, my like ankle to feel right. Why I stopped wearing I could stop wearing flats. But now I'm like, you know what? All right, let's just do it.
Because you never know. It could be.
You never know.
It could be just taken away. So do it now. Take the first step and do it now.
Do it.
And because we're also doing work.
Yes, that's right.
We are on our lunch break. We're on lunch break.
We're out of time.
Tuesdays at 12, we are out of time. I thank you for coming. I wish we had done the 6:30 or something so we could do longer. Yeah, but we'll have you back. We have to have you back.
Yeah, I want you to continue this. You said you are. I'm so happy that you are. I'm like, when you said earlier, like 2 months, I'm like, 2 months? No, you're gonna love it when you start. This is just such a great thing to talk to people, and I love, and honestly, like normally I like talking to people and interviewing them, and never really being on the end. This is only really the second time I decided to be interviewed.
Well, I'm so glad you did it.
Yeah, so, and I was like, yeah, that's so great. Definitely, I'll definitely come for you because you showed up for me. So I will do this, but normally I just.
Well, I'm glad you accepted. I don't
like being on this side.
You have the ladies on here fired up. There's some guys on here too. They're watching. We thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I always just ask my guests this last question because we didn't get here by ourselves. On whose shoulders do you stand?
you know, I, you know, this question is a hard one for me, only because the way I'm thinking of it is so not traditional. Because yes, like I would definitely say my family, like definitely like my mom and my sister, because definitely my friends like Sarah, Asia, like all of those people, yes. But then those that I don't know, like I would even say, you know, the professor who gave that TED talk, you know, like everything that I've received that has, you know, kind of like made me rise and grow as a person. I feel like in my mind, I don't know if you like the viewers know what a tag cloud is. Like, I feel like you said that question and I just started picturing like all the good thoughts and the good energy that I have received from others, like causing me to rise. And that is what I'm standing on now. So it's more than just like a person, but it's also other people that I haven't even met yet, that
That's
send me
awesome.
like really beautiful messages and things. And even like everyone listening right now, thank you for listening. Like this is making me feel like this is great. So it's also lifting me as well. So yeah. So I don't know if that's a traditional answer or not. I don't know,
That's a
but
great
that's just how
answer.
it feels.
And we were just talking about dispensing your gifts.
Yeah.
So all of those people who dispense their gifts made the universe and the world a better place by being their unique selves. That's all we're asking people to do. Be your unique self, because the world needs you. That thought, that word
Yeah.
caused you to rise, and how many other people,
Yes.
so that they can be better people to encourage someone else. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Walk in your purpose with passion.
Mhm.
So CJ says, good answer. And it just said, good job. It was an awesome discussion. We got Lenny's out there, so we have more Lenny.
Wait, Lenny
more
Kravitz?
Lenny Kravitz friend. No,
He's watching.
we
Wait
have
a minute.
more Lenny Kravitz fans. So we're gonna put it out there that he will see that and call us and you know, sing for us or whatever it is. I just read Cicely Tyson. I like to read. So I just read Just As I Am, Cicely Tyson's
Oh
book.
yeah, that's his godmother.
Yes, and she mentions him in the book. And so, and you know, I'm a Maya Angelou fan. I call her Mother Maya.
Mother Maya.
And I had not, I watched Cicely Tyson. I knew a lot about her, but she doesn't say anything. You know, she was really private. But this book, oh my goodness, she left us a love letter. Really a love letter. I recommend it for everyone. So for all of you out there, please remember, follow your dreams.
Follow them.
And be inspired by this interview and all the others that we do. Remember to follow Tia on her website. The link is in the comments. I thank you so much. We thank you everybody. Pache DeShield, I hope I said her name right. It's a great discussion. What a great way to enjoy my lunch break. I'm so glad you joined us.
I'm so glad too. Now for our lunch or back to work?
Back to work.
Back to work.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kendra.
Have a great day. It was so great. I'm so glad you joined.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Dream Aloud with Kendra. If you like the show, leave a review and tell a friend. I also invite you to join our Dream Aloud Facebook group, where we encourage and challenge our members to step outside of their comfort zone and live limitless lives. I guarantee you will experience true fulfillment when you live, work, and play your way.